Hello everyone, welcome back to Math 1314, more on math. Chapter 3, Section 2, continued, Part 3. This next part deals with complete the square. It's another process of solving quadratic equations. We use complete the square because examples like x squared plus 6x plus 10 are not factorable. In other words, you don't have any real solutions. So, since we can't factor this one, we use another method called complete the square. Complete the square is an entirely new process, and I'll walk you through how to do this. Let's look at this example. I'll do 6x minus 10. Step 1. For all of these, your leading term, your leading coefficient must be 1. It must be 1. That's what those three lines mean. If not, then divide each term by whatever the leading term is. If that's 1, we're okay. Once that's taken care of, step 2. Move the C term to the other side of equal sign. Once we want x's here, non-x's. So we do that by adding 10 to both sides. So we have x squared minus 6x equals 10. Step 3. Add b over 2 squared to both sides. Because whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So now, what do we mean by b over 2? Remember, the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So the constant, that's why I said the c term. It's the constant. B is whatever is in front of the x. It doesn't matter what the sign is, it's that number, because we're going to get rid of the sign in a minute. For this next part, the first sign is going to be used later on, but not now. So, in our case, we have b equals 6. So, we have x squared minus 6x, 6 over 2 squared. We have to do it to both sides. We have 10 plus 6 over 2 squared. Step 4. The right side. Only do what's inside the parentheses. The left side, work it all the way out. Okay, so we have x squared minus 6x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Six divided by 2 is 3 squared. 3 squared is 9. 10 plus 9 is 19. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 3 squared equals 19. Step 5. This part here really is where we started to complete the square. Because notice we're including another square. Step 3, I mean. That's where you include the square. So, step 5, left side. Take the first term, not the square, the first sign, and the third term, not the square. In other words, take whatever's under the square and put them inside a parenthesis. And whatever the first sign is, that goes between them. So first term, not square, put them inside and then square. Equals 19. Step 6, solve. Okay, so what we have here now is x minus 3 squared equals 19. We're trying to solve for x. So to get rid of the square, we have to square root both sides. Square root both sides. We got x minus 3. Remember to put plus or minus in front of the answer. Of the right hand side. So it's plus or minus square root of 19. Now add 3 to both sides. But it's a minus 3, so x is equal to 3 plus or minus square root of 19. Those are your two answers. We have x equals 3 plus square root of 19, and x equals 3 minus the square root of 19. That's why I put the plus or minus instead of writing it this way. Alright, let's do another one. Let's do one that we've done already. X plus this number 2. This is the one we did already. Let's see what else I want to do. X plus 12, x plus 11. So step 1, A has to equal 1. Check. Step 2, move C. So I have to get rid of the 11. So I have x squared plus 12x equals negative 11. Step 3, add b over 2 squared to both sides. Remember, in our case, b is 12. It's whatever's in front of the x is your b. So we have x squared plus 12x plus 12 divided by 2 squared, negative 11 plus 12 divided by 2 squared. Step 4. Left side only inside the parentheses. So we have x squared plus 12x. 12 divided by 2 is 6 squared. Right side, work it. So we have 12 over 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Negative 11 plus 36 is 25. Step 5. A, C. So whatever's under the squares goes inside the parentheses. So x, 6, and whatever the first sign is, squared, equals 25. Step 6. Solve. So to get rid of the square, we have to square root both sides. So that cancels. So we have x plus 6. So I'm going to put a plus or minus. Anytime you square root something squared, you have to put a plus or minus in front of the answer. Square root of 25 is 5. Subtract 6, so we have negative 6 plus or minus 5. So it's negative 6 plus 5, negative 6 minus 5. So the answers are negative 1, negative 11. That's what we got last time. Let's do some with numbers out in front. Because now we may be forced to work with fractions. If a does not equal 1. Well, I guess I could start off that way back there too. So if a equals 1, do this method. Yeah, so we'll call this if a equals 1. That's also why I put the very first step is a must equal 1. 2x squared minus 1 equals 3x. Actually, even before that, remember, we have to deal with ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Has to be in standard form. So we have to rewrite the equation, so we have to move the 3x over. So we got 2x squared minus 3x minus 1 equals 0. Alright, so step 1. A has to equal 1. If not, so since a doesn't equal 1, a equals 2, we divide each term by 2. We divide each term by 2, so that gets rid of that one. So now we have x squared, 3 over 2x, minus 1/2 equals 0. Step 2. Move c. So we have x squared minus 3 over 2x. So when you move it, you change the sign, so it becomes positive 1/2. Step 3. Add b over 2 squared to both sides. So here we have 3 over 2x. So this is b. So it's 3 over 2 divided by 2 squared. 1/2 plus b over 2 squared. We have a fraction over, because 2 on the bottom is 2 over 1. So take the top fraction, leave it alone, and multiply by the flip of the bottom. So take 2 over 1, flip it to 1 over 2, now multiply. So it becomes 3 over 4. So x squared minus 3 over 2x plus 3 over 4 squared equals 1/2 3 over 4 squared. That's what step 4. Left side only in the parentheses. Right side, work it out. So I can't do any further there, so I'm done with the left side. 1/2 3 over 4 squared, so I square both of those separately, so it's 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16. So, butterfly method. 16 times 1 is 16, 2 times 9 is 18, and I add them, multiply bottom. 16 times 2 is 32, so I have 18 plus 16 is 34, 16 times 2 is 32. Okay, they both have a 2 in common, so it's half of 34 is 17, half of 32 is 16. So now I have this. Remember, left side, do not work that square thing. On the left side, this is step 5. Complete the square. So whatever's under the square, and the first sign. Now step 6, solve. Step 6, we solve. So we have x minus 3 over 4 squared, 17 over 16. Square root both sides. That cancels. So I have x minus 3/4 plus or minus square root of 17 over square root of 16, which is square root of 17 over 4. Add 3/4 to both sides. So I have x equals 3/4 plus or minus square root of 17 over 4. Since I have a common denominator, 3 plus or minus square root of 17 over 4. There's my answer. Those are my two answers. So far so good. Let's do one more. This time without numbers. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Step 1. A must be equal to 1. So I divide every term by a. So I have x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. Step 2, move the c term. X plus b over a. So I subtract c over a from both sides. So it's minus c over a. Step 3, b over 2 squared to both sides. So remember, b in this case is b over a. So we're going to have b over a over 2. Which, if you follow what I did last time, this is, so it's going to be b over 2a squared. Leave the top alone, multiply by flip of the bottom. B times 1, a times 2 squared. So what we have now is x squared, b over a plus b over 2a squared, negative c over a plus b over 2a squared. Step 4, work it. So left side only in the parentheses, can't go any further. Right side, work it out. Simplify them both together. So x squared plus b over ax plus b over 2a squared equals negative c over a. This square goes to both top and bottom. So it's b squared 2a squared becomes 2 squared a squared. So it's 4a squared. In order to add these, we could use the butterfly method. It's 4a squared times c is negative 4ac a squared c plus b squared a all over 4a cubed. A squared times a, so it's 3/8. Let's fix that. So we have negative 4a squared c plus b squared a over 4a cubed. What do they have in common? They have at least one a, so I could take out one a. 4ac b squared. Okay, now since they're multiplied, can I cancel anything top and bottom? There's 3 a's here, there's 1 a there, I can cancel one of those. So I subtract 1. But there's a times a times a, get rid of 1, so there's a squared. Okay, step 5. Put it in, complete the square. So I have the first term, the first sign, and the last term, whatever's under the squares. So b over 2a squared equals this entire monstrosity, negative 4ac plus b squared 4a squared. Okay, now with the square root both sides. So that becomes x plus b over 2a, those cancel, equals plus or minus negative 4ac plus b squared because there's a property in mathematics that if I had square root, it would be, I can split them up separately. Reason that now because they're both square root of 4 is 2, square root of a squared is a. I need to have a common denominator. So I have b plus x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus of the square root negative 4ac plus b squared over 2a. Solve for x. Subtract b over 2a from both sides. Since they have a common denominator, we have negative b plus or minus, so we'll flip these around. There's our answer. Which leads us to the third method. That's what that is. So we use the complete the square method to get the quadratic formula method. All right, that's the next video. Good luck.